never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Fine.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. We are now officially in the last 6 days of the year 2023. I hope everybody enjoyed their Christmas Day and Christmas weekend. And to all of you who have the rest of the year off, congratulations. Sit back and enjoy some great college football, which is what I want to talk about today here on the channel. And before I get to that, let me say that this past Saturday night, when I was at 1200 Chivers Avenue in Buckhead, Georgia, for Georgia Championship Wrestling, it was a phenomenal show. We had over 200 fans in attendance at the Got to Be Rolling Event Center. And the main event saw Jacob Ashworth defeat Sean Nelson in a barbed wire match to become the new KOS champion. It was a great match and a great night all together. I encourage you to watch all of the matches in their entirety when they get on the Georgia Championship Wrestling YouTube page. The next GCW show at the Got to Be Rolling Event Center is coming up on January the 27th. But right now we are in the midst of what I call the best week of the year. As far as in our personal lives, the last week of the year is when most people start reflecting on everything that's happened this year, all the good, all the bad, all the ups, all the downs. And then most people start talking about what they're going to change next year, their New Year's resolutions and all that. But from a sports perspective, I say it's the best week of the year because there's bowl games on pretty much all day long, every day, starting today. I've always called this week Bowl Mania. There used to be the Blue-Gray game on Christmas Day, and then we used to have the Oahu Bowl, which was in Hawaii, and it was either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I remember back around 98, I think it was, Georgia played Virginia in that bowl game, and it was Jim Donnin's last game as Georgia's football coach, and it was either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Now it's called the Hawaii Bowl, but it's no longer on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And of course we have the NBA, which is always all day long on Christmas Day. So I hope you enjoyed all the NBA action yesterday if you're an NBA fan. But starting today, we have bowl games on just about all day long. For the next 5 days, there are no bowl games on Sunday, but we have them today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Today, starting at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, we have the Quick Lane Bowl, which is the Falcons of Bowling Green against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I like to watch Minnesota play just because they have a quarterback named Ethan Kaliakmanis, and that's the most unique name I've ever heard in my life, and I like unique names. Then at 5:30 Eastern Time, we have the First Responders Bowl. Texas State versus Rice. And then at 9 o'clock tonight, we have the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, which is Kansas and UNLV. And from this point forward, I will quit saying Eastern Time. I think everybody has figured out by now that when I give the game times, I give the game times in Eastern Time. So you know if you're in Central Time, Mountain Time, or Pacific Time, what time the game is starting. Those are the games for today. Tomorrow we have the Military Bowl, which is Tulane versus Virginia Tech at 2 o'clock. 5:30 we have the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl, North Carolina versus West Virginia. And I think that's actually going to be a really good game. And the Holiday Bowl at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Louisville versus the University of Southern California. The only thing about that Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl is, so far since it's been played, the winning coach agrees to have a whole huge jug of mayonnaise poured on him. And I guess it's my OCD coming out, but I can't stand that. Something about that just makes my skin crawl. And then, coming up on Thursday, we have the Fenway Bowl. SMU versus Boston College at 11 o'clock a.m. So we're starting early on Thursday. And then we have the Pinstripe Bowl at 2:15. Rutgers versus Miami Hurricanes. 5:45, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, NC State and Kansas State. Then at 9:15 Thursday night, we have the Alamo Bowl, Oklahoma versus Arizona. And just in case you're wondering, so you don't think that I forgot, also at 9 o'clock Wednesday night, we have Oklahoma State and Texas A&M in the Texas Bowl. Then coming up on Friday at noon, the Gator Bowl, we have Clemson versus Kentucky. And me personally, if I was Kentucky, even though they have struggled all year long to throw the ball consistently, I would give it a shot in this game because Clemson's had two defensive backs who have announced they were transferring, and they've had two that have said they're entering the NFL draft. So Clemson right now is very, very thin in the secondary. So if I was Kentucky, I'd throw the ball 45 times. I know they're not going to because Kentucky doesn't do that unless they're behind and behind big. But being that we have no idea who's going to start for Clemson in the secondary, if I was Kentucky, I'd throw it ever down. Then on Friday at 2 o'clock, we have the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl with Notre Dame taking on Oregon State. 3:30, the Liberty Bowl, Memphis versus Iowa State. 8 o'clock, the Cotton Bowl, a game I think is going to be really, really entertaining. Ohio State versus the Missouri Tigers. And then coming up on Saturday, we have the Peach Bowl at noon, Penn State versus Ole Miss. 2 o'clock, the Music City Bowl, Auburn versus Maryland. 4 o'clock, we have the Orange Bowl, Florida State versus Georgia. And at 4:30, we have the Arizona Bowl with Wyoming taking on Toledo. Now, there has been a lot of talk that Florida State is going to boycott this game and not play it. But I hope for the fans' sake that if they do that, they do it today, maybe tomorrow at the latest, because you're going to have some irate fans when you talk about all the money you're going to spend between either the bus, the car, or a plane, the eating, the motel, the ticket, all that combined, and you get down there and on Saturday morning, Florida State says, nah, we ain't going to play. If they're going to do that, do it today before that happens. But I think they're going to play the game, and I personally think Georgia beats them, and Georgia beats them pretty easily. But it'll be one of those games where no matter which team wins, people are going to say, well, the other team just didn't want to be there. Personally, I've never believed that. That's a cop-out. Just like when a team loses a game and their fans blame the refs, that's a cop-out. It's the same thing when your team loses and you say, oh, we didn't want to be there. If you don't want to be there, don't go there. Especially this day and time when you see players just opting out of bowl games like crazy. So if you're a player and you can opt out of a bowl game with no questions asked, if you don't want to be there, do that. Why go down there and then get beat and then try to use that as an excuse? All you had to do was opt out and not play. That's just something that fans say when their team loses and they don't want to admit that their team lost. And honestly, really, truly, you can only say that if one team wins the game in a big-time fashion like the bowl game last week when Syracuse got beat 45-0. Now, you might could say, well, Syracuse didn't want to be there, even though I'm still not going to believe it, because if you don't want to be there, don't go there. Nobody's making you go. If you don't want to be there, don't be there. But you might could say it, and some folks might believe it in a 45-0 game. But if Florida State and Georgia play and the game is 28-27, 27-21, no matter who wins, you can't tell me that. If your offense don't want to be there, they're not putting up 20-plus points. Why? Because they don't want to be there. Why are you going out there and running the ball and throwing the ball with success if you don't want to do it? You don't have to. So no matter what team wins, the losing fan base is going to say that. It's a cop-out. Don't believe it. That's hogwash. Any thoughts on any of the bowl games starting today at 2 o'clock with the Quick Lane Bowl? Please feel free to let me know. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I'm going to open a restaurant that fuses Chinese and Middle Eastern cuisine. I'm going to call it Walk Like an Egyptian. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.